Welcome to the latest edition of Northern Engineers Power Talks. Today I have the pleasure of speaking with David Sheldrake, who is Global SVP of POWWR, a Manchester-based energy tech firm. Welcome, David. Can I start by asking you just to briefly introduce your company and talk about the markets you work in, what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So POWWR, as a company, we actually are experts in the ecosystem of a sales journey for retail energy suppliers. So whether you are a customer phoning up a supplier to get an energy price, or whether you are an energy broker, and the varying different ways you can request obtaining a price, we are the sales solution that connects that journey from a consumer, an energy broker, or a party that's looking for a price, connecting that to the billing platform. So when a retail energy price is agreed and you agree your contracts effectively, that will also connect into a supplier or a retail energy supplier's billing platform for them to be able to exercise the journey thereafter. So we're that conduit in between. And with that conduit comes many different aspects, such as not only pricing and contracting, the basic things to get a retail energy price, but it's heavily invested from a compliance perspective, from a GDPR perspective. So making sure that every data is clean. There's elements within there that make sure that the data is validated as well. And again, it's making sure that actually that consumer is not impacted and they have a smooth transition to switch or renew with their current retail energy supplier.
Fantastic. One of the things you focus on is smarter grid management. Can you tell me a little bit about that, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So the energy market is evolving, and certainly in our space, we mainly deal with retail energy contracts around the B2B space. So Ofgem, the regulator, have a directive where actually to help with the smart grid and grid capacity, that they would actually prefer that every consumer, whether you are a home or a business, move on to what we call flex tariffs, which are also known as a time of use tariff. So this is looking at your energy use, when you use your energy, and with that usage, actually, are you on the right tariffs and the right prices at the right time to make sure your peak demand is being used correctly. So as an example, people who commonly finish work at home, you would see your energy spike between 5 p.m. and 9 p.m. Well, actually, why don't we look at the price that should be offered between 5 and 9, not just a set fixed rate across a day? So because of these changes that Ofgem are looking to implement, this is around a program called market-wide half-hourly. But all this, first and foremost, is to take the pain away from current grid capacity, which is overloaded at this minute in time. You know, there's always rumours of potential blackouts in the UK, which may seem surprising to a lot of people. But it's because at this minute in time, the demand is far greater than what the capacity in the grid can actually hold. So with that, you've got wholesale prices, which is the price of energy that a supplier will purchase at, and that will come through and it will convert into the price that we pay as consumers. So by creating these time of use tariffs and the market-wide half-hourly program, what it's aimed to do is to try and change everybody's meter in the UK, which means meter reads that you may give to a supplier are not captured in a phone call or an email. Effectively, every single meter in the UK will automatically send a reading through every half an hour.
So does that mean that consumers will have smart meters? I think the uptake has been relatively low so far.
Yeah, that's correct. So actually, a number of meters today are already equipped with the technology to be able to actually host this migration. So even if you don't have a current smart meter on the wall or a new SMETS 2 meter, as they may describe it as, there will still be core functionality of where you can get these readings every half hour. There is a percentage of the UK that are on really old meters, and they will need to be ripped out and replaced, and the retail energy suppliers will get in touch with each individual to be able to do that. But where you maybe consider that 80% of the market are already applicable to generate these half-hourly readings automatically, it then just shifts the attention to, well, actually, how do we use that data to better people's prices and actually, you know, use demand and actually look at the demand that we need and the load that we need of energy for the UK to better support the current infrastructure we have. But just to tie onto the back of that, with this movement and and how the industry is shaping up and the Ofgem directive, actually the key area of all of this is the renewable energy sector. So actually, by being able to grab all half-hourly reads and be able to see actually how you're using your energy, what needs to back then up is renewable products. So people do have solar panels now and use other technologies, but a key driver from our opinion is battery storage. So there'll be an encouragement then to say, actually, why don't you put a battery on your wall at your home or your business?
That was my next question, actually, because one of the key drivers is sustainability. So you'd be looking at consumers to be maybe a little bit off grid in a way. So it's a mixture of, obviously having the backup of grid and then off grid as well. So it's a two-prong approach, where if there are those power cuts due to storms, for instance, or maybe nefarious means of attack on the infrastructure, for instance. So you do have that backup. That's important, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, that's why batteries, for me, as an opinion, will become more relevant, because you're absolutely correct. If you can charge at a time during the evening where it's cheaper for you as the consumer to do, but actually there's a power cut the next day. Well, actually, you've already got your storage within your battery then to be able to continue with your normal day. And actually, the encouragement around looking at renewables, such as battery storage, is you can then, as a business or a consumer, charge your battery at the cheaper times of tariff to offset that use at your peak load. So naturally, what you are doing then is you're bringing the cost of your energy via your battery down. But the way you're actually serving the remainder of the UK is demand then goes down on the wholesale. So actually grid capacity doesn't get overloaded because energy is being sourced in other means and methods. The UK don't need to invest as much in the current infrastructure. At the same time, even though they have announced that there is going to be another, I think, a 5-year plan to put more infrastructure into our grid capacity, but that is the evolution of people moving to more renewables. You're not going to get people move overnight. So by way of having renewable storage or renewable products in place, people will be storing energy, buying it cheaper, offsetting that against their peak load. But again, the key point here, then, it benefits everybody else, actually, because the demand for wholesale decreases, the actual grid capacity decreases because you need less wholesale and standardized formats of energy to serve the remainder of the UK. It's a balancing act to do. And I think the big gap in all of this, from our opinion, is the education piece, though, which is, it's great having this idea and ideology around how it can work, but how does Bob's Fish and Chip Shop be made aware of what they need to do? And actually, when they're asking for a retail energy price, who's going to explain to them that actually your rates are now 16 different times of day, beginning at midnight till 2 till 4? And how easily is that education piece to be able to get the consumer to understand how important it is for them?
Thank you very much, David. That's been absolutely fascinating. Unfortunately, we've come to the end of the episode. Just wanted to say thank you so much. You've been a fantastic guest.
Thank you for your time. Take care.